Welcome into One of One Sports, the only one for your original sports commentary and analysis. I'm John Barry, and the regular season of college basketball is over, which means it is time to make some tournament predictions. And today, I'm going to be giving you my full tournament predictions for the Big 12. Let's get into it. All right, before we get started, I have to ask you guys, if you enjoy the college basketball content on the channel, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to help me grow. We're going to be having a ton of these videos. We already uploaded the ACC, SEC is coming out, Big Ten is coming out, Big East is coming out, Mountain West is coming out, as well as a whole bunch of other March Madness and college basketball content over the next 2 to 4 weeks, probably, as we get into what is, in my opinion, the greatest sporting event in, well, all of everything. It's my favorite sporting event. With that being said, though, here's a look at the bracket. All right, so here's a look at what the bracket looks like. You can see that we've got four teams who get the double bye, 4 teams with the single bye, and then we have 8 teams playing in round 1. And we can just go through matchup by matchup, starting with Baylor versus Arizona State, which is, I gotta be honest, one of the toughest matchups to pick right off the bat because these teams are very evenly matched. They played not too long ago. I want to say it was just about 2 weeks ago. It might have only been a week, actually, and it was really tight. And ASU is a team that's pretty inconsistent. They obviously have talent, and a guy like Mo Odom can heat up, hit a bunch of really good threes. And Baylor, similar thing. Like, yes, they have a bad record, but they have 2 guys who are going to be first-round picks in all likelihood in the NBA draft, in Yesufu and in Cameron Carr. The difference here for me is I feel like ASU, yes, they got the big Texas Tech win, and then they were even very competitive against Iowa State for a little bit before the eventual, I think they were up 45-44, and then we're down 65-45 or something like that. So it was just a huge run, end of the game. But it feels like the Bobby Hurley era is up, and that Texas Tech win was like the final achievement. It feels like the season's a bit over, and the era has come to a close. So I will go with Baylor to advance, and then Cincinnati, I'm easily picking over Utah. Utah is just terrible. There's no chance I'm picking them. There's not much to say there. They lost to my Grand Canyon Antelopes, which are a solid team, but they were bad out of conference. They were bad in conference. I wish they were better because then GCU, my team, would have had a better victory, maybe had a bubble case, but no. Then Kansas State, BYU, this is another one. Like Kansas State, their coach has already been fired. Yes, Haggerty can put up points, but they're just not a good team. BYU, yes, they struggle down the stretch, but they still have, at any given time, the best maybe 2 players on the court, certainly the best player on the court in AJ DeBansta against almost anyone they play. And then Rob Wright, depending on what he's doing, is very good as well. Even with no Saunders, I think they can win here, advance to play West Virginia. And then Oklahoma State versus Colorado, another really evenly matched one between 2 teams who I think are decent teams, but have struggling records because they play in a conference where for most of the year, like Arizona, Iowa State, Houston, Kansas, Texas Tech, BYU, you just weren't really going to beat these teams for most of the year, and these teams suffer because of that. I think it could go either way. Pretty evenly matched. I'm slightly going Colorado. I think they were playing better at the end of the year. They just gave Arizona a pretty good challenge. So yeah, I'll go with them, but yeah, not feeling really strong about it, or particularly strong about it. Into the second round, we start with Iowa State at Baylor. And look, Iowa State is not playing its best basketball down the stretch. I think they lost 4 of their last 8, but you look at who they lost to, it's mostly really good teams. They lost to Arizona. They lost to, I think it was Kansas. No, Kansas beat them. They lost to Arizona. They lost to BYU. They lost to Texas Tech. And they lost to someone else. I'm not remembering right away. But they definitely have struggled a bit to end the season. But they're still better than Baylor. I don't know why Baylor struggles so much. You would think with the talent they put on the court, like I mentioned, the 2 NBA guys, 2 guys I think are really, really good. You'd think Baylor would be a bit better, but they're just not. I expect Iowa State's defense to cause problem. Jefferson has been very good. Lipsey has been very good. Momcilovic hits basically everything, like a 50% three-point shooter on like 8 a game or something. It's something ridiculous. I think they advance and get the win here. I don't like how I made this graphic slightly off-centered for Arizona. Try to ignore that. Anyway, Cincinnati versus UCF. This is one between 2 teams who I think are still in the mix to potentially get a bid in the NCAA tournament. I haven't watched enough of either of these teams. I saw UCF in a couple of their big wins, actually. I saw them beat Kansas, which was a big one for them. But down the stretch, I think they lost their last 3 games of the season. Cincinnati's been playing a bit better. Both teams are going to be motivated, trying to get into the tournament. UCF, I think, can get in even if they lose. Cincinnati definitely, I think, needs to win. And I think they do advance to play Arizona, keeping their hopes at a tournament bid alive. And then BYU, West Virginia. BYU just lost to West Virginia recently. BYU's been losing to pretty much everyone except, ironically, the best teams they played recently in Texas Tech and Iowa State. Like West Virginia beat them. Who else beat? Oklahoma State beat them. I think UCF beat them. They've been struggling since the Saunders injury, but they do have 2 top 10 wins over Iowa State and over Texas Tech. And I think DeBansta, because he has been playing very, very well all season, but particularly when Saunders has gone down, he's been asked to do more. He still gets the line a lot. He still scores, but he's also been a facilitator. He's also rebounding very well, and he's playing some good defense. I think he can have a really big performance here against West Virginia and advance to the 3rd round of this tournament. And final matchup, we've got Colorado versus TCU. And this one, I think TCU is actually a really good team. It's particularly at the end of the season. I think they won 8 of their last 9. They beat Texas Tech. I think they beat somebody else who's pretty good. And even if you look earlier in the season, this is a team that beat Florida, that barely lost to Michigan. So they definitely have some talent. And I think they do beat Colorado to be one of the final 8 teams in this Big 12 tournament. TCU also maybe needs the win to get in. I think they could be in the tournament even with the loss. I think that right now they're hovering at a projected 9 seed. But with a win, I think you guarantee that. Back up top, Texas Tech, Iowa State. Texas Tech, since Toppin's gone out, had an initial surge that was really surprising. Donovan Atwell was playing ridiculous, including a game where he went, I think, for 30 against Iowa State at Iowa State, and they won that game, which was shocking to me because Iowa State is so good at home, known for their home court advantage, and Texas Tech's missing their best player, who is probably going to be a first-team All-American in JT Toppin. But Christian Anderson and Donovan Atwell have stepped up to help keep Texas Tech really competitive. Now, do I think they can beat a team as good as Iowa State again? Maybe. Like, I'm not saying they can't, and I think it's really close. You got the backcourts of Jefferson and Lipsey versus Atwell and Anderson. That should be a really good matchup. But I also think if you look back through years, Iowa State usually performs really well in the Big 12 tournament. Can't say the same thing about the NCAA tournament. Can't say, well, I won't go there. But all I say is they are very good in this tournament. They've won it recently, beating Houston. What was that, 2 years ago? I believe they beat Houston. And it's a really good team this year. Lipsey, Momcilovic, Jefferson are the big 3, but certainly you have other contributors. Jamarian Bateman, the freshman, has been really good. Heisey makes plays at times, and they got some size on the interior. So I think they can get this win, but obviously if Texas Tech just won at Iowa State, they could certainly win at a neutral site. So that is one to look for, as where I'm not sure and could see a potential flaw here. And then I'm obviously picking Arizona to beat Cincinnati. I guess it's chalky, but Cincinnati I don't think is pulling this upset. Arizona, 2 losses on the entire year. And one is to Kansas and one is to Texas Tech, who were both really good teams. And this was when Toppin was healthy, and one of them was at Kansas, one of the toughest places to play in college basketball. I won't say the toughest, although Jay Billis thinks it is, but certainly a very tough place to play. On a neutral site, as the far better team, Arizona's getting this win. Let's move to Houston versus BYU. This is where I think DeBansta would have to do something truly special to beat this Houston team. Now, they don't have the defense they typically have under Kelvin Sampson. It's not like the best defense in the country, which it usually is, but it's still enough where like you're going to need more than 2 guys. You're going to need more than just Rob Wright and AJ DeBansta. And I just don't know that BYU has enough supporting them to beat this Houston team, who can beat you in a lot of ways, even though they've stumbled down the stretch. Kingston Fleming, still really good. Sharp, still really good. Uzon, still very good. Cenac, going to be a first-round pick. Tugler, one of the best defenders in the country. Mercy Miller has stepped up as well. So they have some depth. They have shot making. They have a much more well-rounded team than BYU has. And if BYU is going to win this game, it's going to be because, a star player kind of just beat Houston. I don't think Kelvin Sampson's going to let his team get beat by just 1 or 2 guys. And like I said, I don't think they have enough around him. Maybe if Saunders was healthy, I could see it. But no Saunders, no win for the Cougars. Well, win for the Houston Cougars, no win for the BYU Cougars. And then the final matchup, here's where I'm going with an upset. I'm picking TCU to win this game. Like I said, you look at them, they've won 8 of their last 9. They're playing their best basketball at the right time. They're coming in hot, and they've been good against really good teams. I mentioned they beat Florida earlier in the year. They took Michigan down to the wire. They took Kansas to overtime in a game they choked away at Kansas, should have won on the road, let it slip away, this time at a neutral site. I think they pull it off and get the biggest upset of this tournament so far. Arizona and Iowa State now play in the semifinals. And again, I got to go with Arizona. They're just the best team in this conference, and it's kind of a big gap. Iowa State would have needed to be playing closer to how they were early in the year when they got up as high as what, number 2 in the AP poll. The team has been recently losing 4 of their last 8, including one to Arizona, where it was tight for a little bit, and Arizona pulled away in the second half, almost won by 20. Arizona now getting healthy. Koa Pete playing where he just scored 25 in the season finale. Dwayne Aristode back. So you've got the depth you were missing for a little bit there. With that, you're going to win this game, in my opinion. I just don't think Iowa State has enough size to contest Arizona's front court. They have good shot making. I don't think they have enough shot making to keep up with Arizona's going to do, considering how many chances Arizona generates from offensive rebounds because of a guy like Toby Awaka. But not just him. I mean, Krivas is getting better at it. Koa Pete's going to get boards. And then Bradley also generates turnovers, second chance opportunities. They're just a lot. I didn't even get to mention Braden Berries, who's probably the best player on the team right now, just went for 31 against Colorado. They are a true national title contender level team. I don't think Iowa State is there. I think the Wildcats get the win, where they will verse the winner of Houston TCU. And look, I had TCU going around here. I don't think they make it all the way to the final, though. I think Kelvin Sampson and Houston once again return to the Big 12 championship because they won it last year, right? Am I misremembering? I think Houston won it last year. I think 2 years ago they lost Iowa State. I think last year they won it and then ended up going all the way to the national championship and losing. I think I have that right. Feel free to correct me in the comments down below if I'm wrong, but I think they beat TCU here. Look, TCU, it's a great run. You beat Colorado, who's a decent team, and then you pulled the upset of the tournament over Darian Peterson in Kansas, and you secured a spot in the NCAA tournament in doing so almost definitively. But yeah, it comes to an end. I think Houston, just too talented, too well coached to get upset as well. They advance, and now we set up the final between Arizona and Houston. And once again, if you watch my ACC prediction video, it was a boring pick. It was chalk, but this year I think there's just a lot of chalk in some of these tournaments. I mean, I don't see how I could pick Houston. They played at Houston with Arizona missing Koa Pete, their second or third best player, whatever you want to say, but how you rank him, Berries, and Bradley, and also missing key depth piece Dwayne Aristode. So you're shorthanded on the road and still handled Houston in a game that had all the stakes. It had basically the Big 12 title on the line. And Houston did not have an answer for that. Now you're now healthier. You're now on a neutral site. I can't see a reason to pick Houston. I'm picking Arizona to win the Big 12 championship. And I think it happens pretty easily. I know it's a boring pick. I know it's chalk, but look, you went 29-2 for a reason. Like in the ACC, Duke did it for a reason. There's just a gap in at least these conferences. We'll see what I say in the SEC, the Big 10. We'll do the Big East. But at least so far, the ACC and Big 12, there's a gap between the top team in this conference and everybody else. And I don't see a reason right now not to pick the best team to win the conference tournament. With that being said, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. Comment, who do you think wins the Big 12 tournament? I thank you guys all for watching. Stay tuned for my other conference tournament predictions. And until then, I'll see you next time.